Okay, and then go ahead and switch to speaker view. And Deborah, you're up. Ready.
All right. Hi, art campers. I'm so happy to see you guys. I hope everyone is good and staying healthy and doing well, having fun doing school online and having fun doing art camp online. I'm excited to teach cooking with you guys today. I taught some cooking classes at art camp last summer, but Ashley, I don't think we ever did banana bread at art camp. I can't remember if we did art camp.
I think because it was so hot that I don't think we wanted to bake.
Yeah, I don't think we did banana bread. So I'm super excited to bake banana bread with you guys. So that's the timer. I heard that that's all the rage right now, banana bread. But here's the thing, banana bread's always the rage in my kitchen. I have 4 kids, so I'm always making lots of banana bread. So hopefully you guys are excited to bake with me today. I'm gonna walk you through my recipe. And like Ashley said, if you have questions, just go ahead and chat them to Ashley and she'll say them out to me and I'll answer with my response, okay? Hopefully you guys can hear me. I don't talk super loud, but Ashley, are we good?
Oh, we can hear you beautifully.
Okay.
You sound great.
Perfect. All right, the very first step we're gonna do is we're gonna cream the butter and sugar. That means we're gonna take our butter and our sugar and we're gonna mix them together really well until they get light and fluffy. I'm gonna use an electric hand mixer. If you guys have a stand mixer, that will work. You could even use a food processor. You could also do this by hand, but if you have this little handheld electric mixer, that's gonna work the best for your banana bread, okay? So I have 1 stick, which is also the same as 1/2 cup of butter, or 8 tablespoons. And mine was softened, I took it out this morning. If yours is not soft, you can go ahead and stick it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. You don't want it to be super duper cold, but as long as it's not really hard like a rock, you'll be fine. So I'm gonna open up my butter and I'm gonna dump it into my mixing bowl, okay? The next thing I wanna do is take a cup of sugar. You can use white sugar, you can use brown sugar, you can do a combination, but I used just a cup of sugar. I measured it a few minutes ago, so it was easier for me. But if you can see in here, I have a cup of sugar. And I'm gonna go ahead and just add that to my bowl. So far I have my 1 stick of butter and 1 cup of sugar.
So Deborah, if we're doing a combination, if we have white and brown sugar, for the 1 cup, so if you're doing a combo, it has to be 1/2 cup of one and 1/2 cup of the other.
Exactly. 1/2 and 1/2 make 1 whole. And remember, if you're using brown sugar, you measure it a little bit differently than white sugar. You want to pack it in so it's really nice and tight in your cup. If you're using just white sugar, you just are going to scoop it out. So I'm going to give you guys 1 second. I see some people measuring. I love how you're measuring. So either 1 whole cup of white or 1/2 cup of white or 1/2 cup of brown, which will equal 1 whole cup.
Perfect.
Like everyone's done measuring, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my mixer on. It's gonna be noisy for just a few seconds, but I'm just gonna be mixing this while you guys are mixing yours, okay?
Perfect. So just mix it up, and we'll give everyone a few minutes to do that. It looks to me like most people have a hand mixer. That's what I see in most of these pictures, which is cool. Deborah, how do you know when to stop mixing?
I was just about to turn it off and tell you. You want to mix for about a minute, so you could count in your head 60 seconds. You could set a timer if you need to, but what you want to do is you want to look for it to be sort of light and fluffy and mixed together. You don't want to see chunks of butter and you don't want to see little pieces of sugar. I'm going to show you my mixing bowl. Oh, you guys see that? You want your butter and your sugar to be all creamed, nice and fluffy. I'm actually going to give mine like 10 more seconds, really quick. All right. So when you're baking a lot of recipes, not just banana bread, you have what's called your wet ingredients and your dry ingredients. So right now I'm working on my wet ingredient mixture. So even though the butter and the sugar isn't wet yet, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add 2 eggs, some bananas and vanilla. I'll walk you through it in a second. And that mixture is gonna be wet. All right, so right now we're working on our wet mixture. So the first thing I'm gonna do is crack 2 eggs. Now here's a trick when you are working with eggs. You should get a small little bowl if you have one. Make sure it's clean. And you wanna crack your eggs one at a time into your bowl and then add the cracked egg into your big bowl. Does anyone wanna write in the chat why I might be doing that? Why do I wanna crack my eggs one at a time in a little bowl before I dump them into my mixture?
I have a couple ideas, but let's see if the kids know.
Let's see if anyone has a good
Think
reason.
about
Because it would be really easier just to crack 2 eggs at one time into my big bowl. For sure, that would be easier.
Yeah.
But I might get something that I don't want in my banana bread if I do it that way. All right, Ashley, maybe you can answer for our friends.
Sure, I think they're all busy. I think there's a few reasons. I think the first reason is if you crack it and you accidentally crack some shells in there, it's easier to get out of that little bowl. Or if you crack it and like it's a bad egg, like maybe it smells weird or it looks weird, then you can just throw it away and it doesn't ruin your whole mixture.
Those are the exact 2 answers that I was thinking of. So even though I'm a really good cook and I cook a lot and I bake banana bread a lot, I still do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack my first egg. You can either crack it on the side of your bowl, really gently, or on the counter next to you. I'll do one each way. So this one on the counter. Oh, I crack it open. That egg looks perfect, obviously. No shell. Perfect egg, right? Ah, on my computer. Okay. I'm gonna wipe that off before it makes a mess on my computer. Don't do that, you guys. Don't put egg on your laptop. All right, and the second egg, I'm gonna go ahead and crack just on the side. So I just tap it on the side, open up my egg. I have my second egg, and I'm gonna add it in. So right now you've got your creamed butter and sugar, and you should have 2 eggs in there. And I want you to go ahead and turn your mixer on or use your spoon, however you're making your banana bread, and mix it for about like 20 seconds till you don't see the yolk anymore. You want it all combined really well. All right, mine looks really good. I hope yours is looking good so far too, you guys. It should be like a light, pretty yellow and a fluffy mixture at this point. All right, the next ingredient that's wet is gonna be my vanilla extract. If you don't have vanilla, your banana bread will be totally fine, I promise. You really won't taste much of a difference. But if you have vanilla, you're gonna go ahead and add a teaspoon. Normally, when I bake, I don't measure my vanilla, I sort of just eyeball, but I'm gonna go ahead and measure a teaspoon for you guys so you can see what a teaspoon looks like. So I have measuring spoons, all different sizes. I'm gonna take my 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna hold it over the bowl because I don't wanna waste vanilla or spill it on my counter or on the ground. This way, if I hold it over my bowl and a little spills, a little extra vanilla in my banana bread. So I'm just gonna measure my 1 teaspoon, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour that right into my mixture. And I'm gonna turn this on for just 2 quick seconds. That mixes in really quickly. All right.
And Deborah, I wrote in the chat box, but their measuring spoons might not say teaspoon. It might say TSP. That's the one you want to use, right?
That's a good point. You're right. Sometimes, actually, like mine, I'll show you guys what Ashley's talking about. Can you see those letters on there?
It says 1
TSP. TSP. That stands for 1 teaspoon, but look, what do you see here? What difference do you see on that?
1
There's a B in there.
TSP.
Exactly, that stands for tablespoon. There's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, so a tablespoon is bigger than a teaspoon. Don't mix them up when you're baking, because there's a really big size difference between a teaspoon and a tablespoon, right? Cooking, they say, is not an exact science. You can be creative with the ingredients, but baking is what's called an exact science. The recipes are written with the right amount of ingredients. You guys, this is Eliana. She's a former art camper and a camper. We'll see JC here. Hi.
Hi, Ellie.
And Eliana's known Ashley since I was 4 years old, and now she's over 14, so 10 years. How crazy is that?
Hi, Ellie. Welcome to our baking class. We're very excited. We're making your mom's banana bread.
That's so
Is
fun.
it delicious? Do you eat it all the time?
All the time. It's so good.
Awesome. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you've done the butter, the sugar, the eggs, and the vanilla. All the steps. Give me a thumbs up. Let's see. We need a minute.
Lots of time there.
Yeah. Let's give them one minute before we continue. We have a few that are like doing this.
No problem.
No problem.
I'm going to take my drink while we take a minute.
No problem. I'm going to take a drink of water because it's so hot out.
It is so hot. I wonder how many of you guys bake or cook usually, how many of you this is the first time you're in the kitchen, if you wanted to try something out, or maybe some of you guys in your families have your own special banana bread recipe, and you thought to yourself, well, my mom or grandma or dad or uncle or cousin makes the best banana bread, so I'm going to try hers out and compare. I would love to hear what you guys think after you bake it and you taste it. I see Melissa has a hand up. You want to chat to Ashley or Christian?
Hey, Melissa, what's up?
I made banana bread before.
You did? Was it delicious?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is going to be delicious too? How you feeling? Yeah. Me too.
If you guys could smell my kitchen, because I just baked some earlier to show it to you, you would know it's going to be delicious. All right, I'm going to move on, but super slowly. And if you have questions, you just let us know and we'll catch you up, okay?
Sounds
so the
good.
last ingredient to our wet mixture are my apples. Wait, what? No. Bananas. Are we making banana bread? We're making banana bread. Do you see that mine look kind of yucky and brown and mushy? Oh, I see Melissa's look like that. Hold up your bananas for me. Let me see how yucky and mushy your bananas are.
Yeah, they should have like spots on them. They should be kind of soft, right?
Spots. Probably want to eat banana, but it's the best bananas for banana bread. You want them to be a little bit soft and a little bit mushy.
Uh-oh, we froze.
The softer they are, and the yummier it will make your banana.
Got it. Okay, so we've got our mushy bananas. How many mushy bananas do we need?
Well, 3 to 4 is what I said in the recipe, and that's because these are kind of small. These were sort of these small organic bananas, but sometimes if you have the bigger kind, you're only going to need 3. So anywhere from 3 to 4, your recipe is going to be fine. If they're bigger, 3 is enough. If they're on the smaller side, go ahead and use 4, okay? There's 2 ways you can do your bananas. You can either take a separate bowl and use a potato masher or a fork, and you can mash until your mixture is really smooth and mashed up. The other way you can do it, which I'm going to do right now because these are super soft, I'm just going to peel them and add them to my bowl because this hand mixer is pretty strong and it's enough that it's going to mash the bananas for me as I'm doing my mixture. So you've got 2 choices. Both of them will work perfectly. Either mash them separately and add them to your bowl, or go ahead and just put them in and mix them up. So I'm going to do that while you guys do yours, and then I'll be back in just a second. I'm going to peel them. You can see how soft and mushy they are. You know, a really cool trick, you guys, to mushy bananas. If you've got some brown mushy bananas and you don't feel like making banana bread or you don't have time, go ahead and pop them in the freezer just like this in the peel and everything. And when you're ready at another time to make banana bread, pull them out of the freezer, let them sit on the counter for a little bit until they're soft.
Oh, are we frozen?
Bananas away because they are so delicious. I'm gonna wipe my hands because those were kind of mushy. I'm gonna move my peels out of the way. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn my mixer on again to mix up my bananas with my wet mixture. And it's gonna take probably a minute or so until they get all mixed up. So go ahead and mush up your bananas and mix them. and I'll do the same.
Okay, we got some questions. Melissa, what's your question?
My
Go ahead.
real name Madeline. That's just my mom's
Oh. Hey, Madeline, what's up?
She just telling me that.
Yeah.
Oh, you just wanted to tell me. Okay, thank you, Madeline. Let's see who else has a question. Hold on. Liam. Hey, Liam, what's going on?
Which bowl do you put it in? The bananas.
The wet bowl.
Oh.
Well, you can put it in its own separate bowl and smush it up if you want to do that, and then you put it in the wet bowl. Sound good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ooh, sorry, Deborah, I muted you on accident.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, I was just catching
Can you
you guys
repeat
up. I was just catching you up and telling you that in my bowl right now, I have my butter, my sugar, my vanilla, my eggs, and my bananas. I'm gonna come show you guys what that looks like. You see that mixture? It might look like a little bit grainy and you might think, oh, that looks weird, but it's supposed to look like that. Don't worry, it'll all come together once you add your dry ingredients. Okay, so is everyone caught up before we move on to our dry ingredients?
Let's see.
Give thumbs up and we'll know if we can move on or not.
Hi, Bay. Hi. I think we're ready. Yeah.
We're ready. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our dry ingredients. So just so that you have them all handy, you should have flour, baking powder, baking soda, those are two different ingredients, and salt. You want to be using either table salt or sea salt. If you only have kosher salt, you're going to want to use half a teaspoon instead of 1 teaspoon because kosher salt is amazing for cooking, but it's saltier than regular salt for the same amount, so you have to use a little bit less. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 dry ingredients right now. All right? So I don't know if you guys know this, but a really cool trick to measuring flour, I already measured mine just to make it easier because my flour is on that side of the kitchen and I'm on this side of the kitchen. But a cool ingredient to measuring flour is you don't want to take your measuring cup into your big container that your grown-up probably has the flour in, and you don't want to scoop it like that because when you scoop it like that, you pack the flour into the measuring cup and you actually get more flour than you need. Hi, Jenny. I just saw you down there. Hi, honey. You guys, Jenny was my camper at Sleepaway Camp, one of the mommies that's on here. So fun, right? You want to take your measuring cup and you want to take a spoon or a smaller measuring cup. Let me grab it actually to show you. Hold on one sec. Okay, so I have this is a half cup measuring cup. I'm going to need 2 cups of flour. I already measured it, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. You want to take a spoon or a smaller measuring cup and you want to flour into your measuring cup and just so that's how you want to measure flour anytime you make something. So I already know that this is 2 cups of flour because I measured it this way a little bit earlier. You want 2 cups of flour in a smaller mixing bowl. So not right into the big bowl where your wet mixture is, but you want to have a smaller bowl for your dry ingredients. So measure out 2 cups of flour. I only had right now a half cup. So if I only had a half cup, I need 4 half cups to equal 2 cups because 1/2 and 1/2 is 1 and 1 and 1 is 2. So 4 of my half cups will equal my 2 cups of flour. If you have a 1 cup measuring cup, 2 of those are going to get you the 2 cups of flour.
Perfect.
To that dry mixture, I'm going to take my teaspoon again, making sure it's not my tablespoon, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And you want to make sure that's leveled off. If you don't have, see, I have a cool container that has a little thingy here. I don't even know what you call this, a ridge or something that you can measure your baking powder against. If you don't have that, just measure it against the side of your container so that you have a nice level teaspoon of baking powder. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my baking soda. I'm gonna scoop a teaspoon, measure it against the box. So I know I have a flat level teaspoon of baking soda, and I'm gonna add that to my flour. I like to move my ingredients, you guys, when I bake or cook to the side when I'm done with them, so I see what I have left and I don't think, did I already put this? Did I put this twice? That way, if I use it and move it to the side, I know that it's already gone in. And next I'm gonna add my salt.
Deborah,
I'm gonna
I'm sorry. I was not paying attention. You did 1 teaspoon of
1
that mean?
teaspoon of baking powder, which is this. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is this. They're both leavening agents, but they do sort of different things in your recipe. Sometimes you'll have a recipe that has only 1, like biscuits, for example. Sometimes you'll see a recipe that has only baking soda, but a lot of recipes, baking recipes, will have both ingredients, baking soda and baking powder.
Perfect.
So right now I've got flour, baking soda, baking powder, and I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt. Remember, if you only have kosher salt, you're gonna use half a teaspoon. Okay, so regular table salt or sea salt, 1 teaspoon. Kosher salt, half a teaspoon.
Deb,
Now
we have some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
This adorable child who just told me her name, and it's not Melissa, and now I forgot it, has a question. What is your name again, my dear?
Madeline.
Madeline, what's your question?
1 teaspoon of
1 teaspoon of
baking soda.
baking soda and baking powder. We're getting confused.
Yes, 1 teaspoon of each. 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So you should have both. So right now, your dry mixture, in your dry mixture right now that I'm mixing up, so you guys should be doing the same thing with a fork or a little spoon. You just want to, it's called sort of sift these ingredients together so that you don't dump it in your bowl and have all the salt in one area of your recipe or all the baking soda in one other area of your mixture, because it doesn't taste very good by itself. It only tastes good when it's all mixed together. So you want to be mixing your 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt. I see that question down there. 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda to your 2 cups of flour. So now I'm going to take
One
this
of
dry
the kids
mixture.
asked in the chat, what if we don't have baking soda? Do they
If you
skip
don't
it,
have baking
or
soda,
do they add?
if you don't have baking soda, you can add a little bit more baking powder. I would add another half a teaspoon, so a total of 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder.
Perfect, thank you.
The same thing if you don't have baking powder and you only have baking soda, you could add a little bit more of that one, but not 2 full teaspoons of baking soda. Okay, so while you guys mix that, I'm gonna grab my milk out of the fridge. I was keeping it in there to stay cold.
So once Deborah was doing, mix it up, but you're not adding it to the wet just yet.
You're not adding it because I actually realized that I forgot something when we were talking about our wet, because I kept my milk in the fridge because it's so hot out, and I almost forgot that. So before we add our dry mixture, you have a choice to your wet mixture, and it will all taste the same. You can use milk, you can use sour cream, you can use yogurt, banana flavored, vanilla flavored, or plain flavored, all would taste good. I wouldn't put like blueberry yogurt or apricot yogurt in your banana bread, but any kind of yogurt that's vanilla or plain or banana, and some milk or half and half or sour cream, anything that lives in your refrigerator is going to be okay, because you're just putting a little bit to add a little bit of moisture, a little more wetness to your mixture. So I'm just going to use milk today.
Now, if we're someone that doesn't drink, like have dairy milk, would like almond milk or soy milk, are those allowed?
Absolutely. Any dairy that you, or any, I should say, any dairy or non-dairy substitute that you have in your fridge. You can use almond milk, you can use soy milk. I've done this with oat milk. It's really good with oat milk. I didn't have any today. You can use non-dairy creamer. You can use soy yogurt, almond yogurt. My daughter, the one that you saw earlier, is allergic to coconut, so I don't use that, but you could use like coconut yogurt or coconut milk that comes in the container. Any kind of cold dairy or non-dairy product is fine because you're just using a little bit, about a 1/4 cup, which is about 4 tablespoons. So whatever dairy you're using, I'm just using some organic 2% milk right now. And I'm just gonna pour a little because I know how much I need, which is that much. But if you are measuring it, you're gonna wanna measure a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons. So if it's yogurt or if it's sour cream, you wanna scoop it out. If it's any kind of milk or non-dairy milk in a container, just go ahead and pour it in.
And you're adding it to your wet mixture. Because it's wet.
Correct. I forgot that earlier when we talked about our wet. That's part of our wet mixture. So right now I've got 2 bowls. I have my wet mixture with my butter, my sugar, my eggs, my vanilla, my bananas, and I used milk, but whatever you're using is gonna be all in this wet mixture. And in my dry bowl over here, I have 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt.
Perfect.
Everybody caught up before we mix together and make what's called our batter, because right now I just have 2 bowls. This does not look very good by itself. And this smells good, but I wouldn't want to eat this by itself. But all of a sudden, when we combine the dry ingredients with these wet ingredients and we make the most yummy smelling batter for your banana bread, it's going to be delicious. So that's our next step. Give us a thumbs up if you're caught up with your and your dry. Also make sure that your oven is preheated at this point to 350 degrees.
Okay. Are we ready to move on, or do we need a minute? You tell us. Okay. I see lots of thumbs, but I see 1, 2 hold on. So let's give them a minute. And I'm gonna write that we're preheating the oven to 350. Preheat the oven to 350.
And while you're preheating your oven and while we're waiting for our friends to catch up, I want you guys to make sure you have with you one of these choices: a loaf pan, or muffin tins, or a round cake pan, or a bundt cake pan. It's really you want to bake your banana bread. It's going to bake change a little bit depending, because let's say you're doing mini muffin, mini. So if you're mini muffins, you want to them out about 10 minutes, and then they may need another 5 minutes. If you're doing regular muffins, check them after about 15 minutes, but then it might need another 5 or 7 minutes. Everyone's oven is different. There's something, it's a big word, it's called calibration, and that tells you if your oven actually is cooking at the temperature that it shows. So my oven tells me it's cooking at 350 degrees, but it might not be calibrated exactly, which means even though it shows me 350, the inside temperature could be a little bit colder, it could be a little bit hotter. So I always like to check things a little sooner than I think they're going to be done to make sure that nothing is overcooking or burning. So make sure you have whatever you're cooking your banana bread in, and have that ready before we move on. All right?
Perfect. I think we're cut up.
Okay. So we're going to take our dry ingredients, and you can either mix it all at one time into your wet bowl if you have a big bowl. If your bowl's not so big, go ahead and add half of your dry mixture to the wet, mix it up for a few minutes, and then add the other half of your dry mixture. And that's because you don't want to turn your mixer on and have a white cloud of flour flying out of your bowl, because that is not fun. So I'm going to add half my mixture to my dry ingredients, and I'm going to turn on the mixer for just a sec. So it will be loud, but I'll be back. So I mixed half of it in. I'm going to go ahead and add the other half. And another trick about banana bread and actually baking in general, you don't want to overmix anything. You want to mix just until your ingredients are combined. Sometimes you have to mix in your bowl, turn off your mixer, grab a spatula, and just mix it 1 or 2 times. But you don't want to overmix your ingredients. Just mix until they're combined. So go ahead and add the other half of your dry ingredients to your wet mixture. Make sure you get it all out. You don't want anything left in the bowl. And then mix the second half.
Good job, everybody. Mix, mix, mix.
That's it. So I know that mine's gonna need to be scooped maybe twice with my spatula, but I can tell from looking at it, and I'm gonna show you the mixture right now, that it's just about done because I don't wanna overmix. So I don't know, actually, maybe that was 15 or 20 seconds of mixing, and that's pretty much all it should need. I don't think anyone's doing this. Sarah, I'm trying to look. If you are doing.
Oh, Deborah, you're freezing. You're
Everyone's
freezing.
doing this about the same. I'm freezing.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's give it a second. Hold on. It'll refix itself. Hold on. Give it a sec. What were you
I
saying?
hear you. Is it better? I hear you and I see you.
Yep, way better.
Better?
Yeah. Can you repeat what you just said?
I just said I was trying to look at the screen to see if anyone's using a food.
Oh, well,
I think everyone's using.
yeah, they're all pretty much using hand mixers from what I can see. Some, yeah, I think they all are doing what you're doing.
Food processor. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I am gonna try to show you my bowl. All right, do you guys see that there's a little, my bowl, see the side there's there? I don't want to waste any of that mixture. And that's just because the mixer splattered it up a little bit when I put it on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take a spatula. This is a spatula, any size you have. And I'm just going to scrape around the bowl to get all the stuff that was up on the side down into my mixture. And I'm just gonna go once or twice from the bottom, like in a folding mixture, like kind of scoop and go up and over to make sure that there's no clumps of flour or bananas stuck to the bottom of the bowl. And I can tell that my mixture is perfectly well mixed. So I'm gonna wait a minute for you guys to do that. Scoop down on your bowls to make sure that anything that was stuck up on the side is combined with your mixture. And at this point, you should have a really light, yellow, yummy smelling banana bread batter. Because now we have a combination of a wet mixture and a dry mixture, which weren't a batter yet. And now we have our batter, our banana bread batter, which is like when you make a cake. You have a batter for your cake.
Yum, yum, yum. So if they have other things they wanted to add in, like I know we said they could optionally bring like chocolate chips or nuts.
I'm going to show you that.
Do you add it in now?
I'm going to show you that now. I'm going to add some chocolate chips. So these are all optional things. So this morning I made 2 kinds of banana bread to show you. This one is totally plain. Okay, and this one has chocolate chips.
They both look really good to me.
They look really good. They smell good. You can have walnuts or pecans. I know at art camp we can't have nuts, but of course you're in your own kitchen, so you can have nuts if you like. You can add, you can take like a Hershey's chocolate bar, any kind of chocolate bar, and you could chop it up and have little bits of chocolate, which is really yummy. Sometimes I do that. It's really yummy with a chopped up Hershey bar. But today I had about a cup of chocolate chips left from something I baked the other day. So if you're using something mixable, like a mixable option, like your nuts you're gonna wanna chop up. Chocolate chips like this, you're not, but a chocolate bar, you would want to chop up. You're going to go ahead at this point, once your mixture is all done and you have your batter, and you're going to add in about a cup to a cup and a half. You can add more if you like it really chocolatey or really nutty. But about a cup or a cup and a half to me, I think is the right mixture. You don't want too many mix-ins, otherwise it will make your bread really heavy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add in, what was left in there, which is about a cup of chocolate chips. And I'm gonna use that same spatula, and I'm just gonna go ahead and fold those in and mix it around for just a minute or so to make sure that they're really well incorporated. A cool trick to baking, which obviously I didn't do and I didn't have you guys do, but when you're baking cakes or banana breads and you want to mix things in, you can take another small little bowl and you can add a little bit of flour, like maybe a teaspoon of flour, to your mix-ins and toss it around so that your chocolate chips or your nuts are coated with a little bit of flour before you add it to the mixture. And sometimes that helps everything from sinking all the way to the bottom. It just helps keep things really spread out evenly in the batter. But that's just another step that was not necessary for today. I didn't even do it. So at this point, you should have your batter either with or without your optional mix-ins. And believe me, banana bread just by itself with no mix-ins is just as delicious as banana bread with chocolate or anything else. And then you're gonna wanna take your pan or your loaf pan, your muffin tin, whatever it is that you're using. I'm gonna use a loaf pan, and you have two options. You can either spray it with something like you have in your house, or you can use a little bit of vegetable oil or coconut oil, whatever oil you have for cooking. Don't olive oil. You use canola or vegetable or avocado even, or canola. Maybe half a teaspoon drizzled in your pan with a paper towel and spread it around. Or a really quick trick, when I used my butter before, I saved this. Do you guys see, can you see all that stuff that's still stuck on the wrapper of my butter? Well, it's really cool to use that to grease your pan. So I'm just gonna take my wrapper and I'm gonna turn it upside down in my pan. So my hand's not touching the butter, my hand's touching the outside. And I'm gonna just go like this and rub it around my pan. So cooking spray. Oh, I should have said something in the very beginning, but I don't think there were any questions for this group, so it didn't matter. But just so you know, when Ashley asked us before about any friends that have dairy allergies, this very same recipe can be made with half a cup of oil instead of butter, and then it's totally non-dairy for anyone that has allergies. So if you guys want to ever make this without butter, just substitute half a cup of oil for the half a cup or the 1 stick of butter. So I should have a grease pan at this point.
That is the best trick I've ever seen. I've never thought to use the wrapper and the butter grease and put it on there, and then you don't have to get it all over your hands.
You don't have to get all my hands.
Like mind blown.
And my pan is totally greased. And why waste that, right? Because there was enough butter on there to grease my pan.
Wow.
Obviously, it's a little bit harder if you're doing cupcakes. Although it works, it's just a little harder. But cooking spray works. You would just take your cooking spray like that and just spray your pan, right? All right. You want to fill your pan about 2/3 of the way full. 2/3 means if there's a whole pan and you imagine it divided into 3 layers, right? Like 1, 2, 3, you want to fill 2 of them up and leave a little bit of room at the top. It's hard to tell you exactly because every loaf pan is different. So you want to make sure you have about 1 inch or so between the top of your batter and the top of your pan. Because if you fill your pan too full and you put it in the oven, the baking soda and the eggs are going to make your banana rise up as it's baking and burn and smell in your, and half of your banana bread is going to be wasted in the oven. So just make sure that you do not fill your loaf pan 2 full. Okay, if your loaf pan is smaller, go ahead and use 2 of them, or use 1 loaf pan and some cupcakes, or 1 loaf pan and a smaller loaf pan. You can also bake banana bread in a, like in a baking dish. This is 8 by 8, but they come in either 8 by 8 or 9 by 9 or 9 by 13, which is a bigger size. So if you don't have a loaf pan, no worries, you can use a baking dish, okay? So really you can bake it in anything. And I'm gonna just take my bowl and go ahead and pour it right into my loaf pan. I see some of you guys doing that already. This is a big loaf pan, so I know that my whole batter is gonna fit, but I wasn't sure, because it does depend on the size of the bananas, and if you add chocolate chips or not. I wasn't sure if I was gonna add chocolate chips. So I did have a second loaf pan ready just in case I needed it, but luckily I didn't need it. I'm gonna show you guys just about. Remember I told you want to leave about 1 inch at the top of your pan? So you can see my batter, I have just about 1 inch between the top of my pan and my batter. Now this is another step for the grown. I don't have any other grown-ups here, so I guess I have to do it myself. But this part is for a grown-up to help you put it in the oven. Because you have now baked banana bread. The only step left is for the oven to do its job. You've mixed all your wet ingredients and all of your dry ingredients and combined them together and made a delicious batter, and now it's got to bake in the oven. This size loaf pan takes anywhere from 50 to 60 or 65 minutes. That's 50 minutes to an hour, or an hour and a few minutes. And that's because, like I explained before, everyone's oven cooks a little bit differently. So I always like to check things sooner than I know it's going to take. So I'm gonna put this in, and I'm gonna set my timer for 40 minutes because I like to check things. Sometimes I like to go like this in my oven and turn it around 180 degrees. That's halfway a circle, right? A circle, ooh, is 360 degrees. But halfway around a circle is 180 degrees. So I like this side to cook evenly as this side. So I like to check things a little more than halfway, or halfway before they're done, and turn the pan around and just check to make sure that my oven is not too hot and not cooking anything faster or hotter than it should be. So
Deborah, I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Question number 1, if you used a smaller pan or like muffin tins, you might have said this before, maybe I missed it. Approximately how long does that take to bake, and when should you check it?
Yeah, I said that before, but I will repeat myself. So if you're using mini muffin tins, you want to check it after about 10 minutes. It's probably gonna need maybe 15, but you wanna go ahead and check it after about 10 minutes so that you know that it's not burning. If you're using regular muffin size pan, you wanna probably check it after 15 or 17 minutes, and it's probably gonna take somewhere between 20 and 25. If you're using mini loaf pans, you probably wanna check after about 20 minutes, and it might take 25 or 30 minutes, but a full loaf of banana bread in a pretty standard loaf pan should take anywhere from 50 to 65 minutes. And I know that seems really weird. You're thinking, why can't you just tell me exactly how long it takes? I wish I could. But remember, every oven cooks a little differently. Every pan's a little differently. Non-stick pans, which are dark, can cook different than glass. Everything cooks a little differently. So I bake a lot of things, and my advice always is to check things sooner than the recipe tells you. So if a recipe tells you 30 minutes, set your timer for 20 or 25 minutes and just check on it. And then you can reset your timer for as much time after that as you think it will take.
And my second question, thank you, wonderful. I typed all that in the chat for them. My second question is, when you check on it, or when your parent checks on it, how do you know when it's done?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is use an oven mitt, right? Do we ever stick our hand on something really hot without an oven mitt? No way. So this is an oven mitt or a pot holder that we use to touch everything hot in the oven. Then you can take something like a plastic knife or a toothpick or a chopstick, anything that you can stick into the batter, and you can kind of take your banana bread when you think it's done, and you want to just stick it down. Oh, look at that. Do you see that my knife came out perfectly clean?
Yeah,
there's
no batter on it.
Not a matter. I'll repeat it. Oh, perfectly clean. That tells me that my cake was cooked all the way through. There's no batter left. If you stick a knife or a toothpick or a chopstick in your batter and it comes out still sticky or still mushy, it's not done yet. It needs a few more minutes. It may need 3 more minutes. It may need 10 more minutes. You want to keep an eye on it. If you're baking your banana bread and it's too brown on the top and you're thinking, wait, this is kind of burning and I don't think this looks very good, you can take a piece of tin foil and you can lightly what's called tent it or lay it over the top. Don't cover your banana bread really tight with it, but just lightly lay your foil over the banana bread, and that will help the top from burning while the inside and the rest of your cake cooks all the way through. I don't know, more questions? You guys just baked banana bread. This was awesome.
This was so awesome. We had the best time. Does anybody else have a question or a comment?
Hi, Bailey. I just saw Bailey over there. Hi, Bailey. Hi, Josh.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's unmute a couple kids. Hold on. Let's unmute the Tannenbaums. Hi, friends.
Hi.
Guys, how are you?
Good.
You guys doing good? I hope your banana bread tastes and smells delicious.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So glad. I'm so happy to see you guys.
When it comes out of the oven, will you send me a picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Enjoy it.
So remember really quick that a grown-up has to take it out of the oven and it should cool in your pan for about 20 or 30 minutes at least before you try to take it out. If you try to take it out sooner when it's really hot, it could fall apart and you could say, her recipe did not work. I totally followed the directions and my cake fell apart. That's because you didn't listen to the very last step, which is to make sure it cools in the pan before you try to take it out. If you're using these kind of paper tins or pans that are what's called disposable, you just leave in and you deliver it to someone like Ashley and they just cut in there and they eat right out of here. So if you're using a paper tin, it's not gonna come out the way it will out of a metal or a glass baking dish. So don't try to cut and scoop this out because it's not meant to come out. It's meant to serve out of this and it will stick a little bit to the sides and it will be messy. That's it.
Sounds good. Let me see if there's any more questions or comments. Hold on. Does anybody have anything they want to ask Deborah? I think we owe her a huge thank you. That was absolutely wonderful. Oh, wait, hold on. Our friend Madeline. I remembered. Hi, dear. What's up?
I can't wait.
What? I can't understand.
Okay.
Can you say it again?
The banana bread.
What?
I can't wait to see how the banana bread tastes.
I can't wait to see
Me
That's in the
too.
oven.
I can't
Maybe
wait
you guys
either.
send Ashley pictures or something so she can show me or post them, or I don't know how you do that, but
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm going to type my email and they can send me pictures and I'll post it. And here's the Art Camp Instagram. They can also tag me there. You can send pictures or videos. Oh, we have a good question. Blake wants to know, he said, can you save the batter and bake it again?
so once you have baking soda and baking powder in a batter, they start to activate and they do what they're supposed to do. And it really needs to go in the oven within 10 or 20 minutes. So banana bread isn't a batter that you can save. You can bake them and then freeze it and pull it out of the freezer. But the batter, once the batter is all mixed together, really needs to be used.
Good.
Does that help?
Good help. And then let's say, hold on, he has another question. Let me see, hold on. Blake, do you have another question?
Yeah, so we didn't have enough space in the muffin tin. So can you just want us to put it in the freezer and then we can cook the rest of the batter after? Because we only had we have a muffin tin that's got 12 muffins.
Okay, so do you have anything like this? Like just a 9x9 baking dish or
Mine's, I
anything
think I
like
have a
that?
9x13 and the other, so I don't
Okay,
have a lot left.
you won't have enough batter. So it's okay, your muffin tins won't take very long. As soon as they come out, let them cool for about 5 minutes. Take them out, wash the pan, and use it again for the second half of your banana.
Yeah, that's
bread
what I was
batter.
hoping for. Okay, yeah, we'll just make a second batch right away. Thank you.
Perfect. Deborah, do you think maybe they should put the batter that's waiting in the fridge because it's a hot day, or it doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Such expert advice. Okay, friends, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unmute everybody so that you can give Deborah a huge thank you and goodbye. If you come back tomorrow, we are doing a science experiment where we're going to make our own solar ovens. It's going to be really fun. Okay, I'm going to unmute everyone. Here we go.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Molly. Bye, Olivia.